2 years ago, I was a single mom working at Target for $13 an hour, living paycheck to paycheck in a tiny apartment with my 6-year-old daughter. Everyone told me I'd never qualify for a mortgage on my income. Last month, I got the keys to our dream $320,000 home. But here's the crazy part. I didn't get a raise, I didn't win the lottery, and I didn't marry rich. I cracked a code that 90% of financial advisors won't teach you because it goes against everything they believe about budgeting. What if everything you've been taught about budgeting as a single parent is actually keeping you poor? What if the reason you can't save money isn't because you don't make enough, but because you're using a system designed for 2-income households? I'm about to blow your mind with a budgeting method so unconventional that when I first shared it with my financial advisor, she said it was financially irresponsible. 2 years later, that same advisor called me asking how I did it. Today, I'm going to share the exact system that took me from having $47 in savings to owning my own home, without changing my income, without getting government assistance, and without sacrificing my daughter's happiness. This isn't just a budget. It's a complete mindset revolution designed specifically for the unique challenges single parents face. Traditional budgeting advice is built on a fundamental flaw. It assumes you have control over your income and expenses. But as a single mom, you know that's a joke. Your car breaks down on the same day your kid needs new shoes, and suddenly your perfect 50-30-20 budget is worthless. This is why 78% of single mothers report that traditional budgeting methods make them feel like failures rather than helping them succeed. The problem isn't your willpower, it's the system. Most budgeting methods were created during an era when families had stay-at-home moms and predictable expenses. They don't account for the chaos factor that defines single parenthood: emergency daycare costs, unexpected medical bills, school events that require money you don't have, and the emotional spending that happens when you're trying to make up for what your child is missing. Here's what happened when I tried every popular budgeting method. The envelope system? I'd borrow from one envelope to cover another, and before I knew it, all the envelopes were empty. Zero-based budgeting? I'd spend hours perfecting my plan, only to have it destroyed by a single unexpected expense. The 50-30-20 rule? What a joke. 50% of my income for needs meant I was already over budget before I paid rent. The breakthrough came when I stopped trying to control my money and started designing a system that worked with the unpredictability of single mom life. I call it chaos-proof budgeting, and it's based on a simple principle. Instead of trying to predict and control expenses, you build flexibility into the system itself. The key insight is this: single moms don't need perfect budgets. We need resilient ones. A budget that can handle a $200 emergency without falling apart is worth more than a budget that looks perfect on paper, but crumbles at the first sign of real life. This mindset shift, from perfection to resilience, changed everything for me. I started studying how emergency responders and military units handle unpredictable situations. They don't try to predict every possible scenario. They build systems that can adapt quickly to whatever happens. This became the foundation of my budgeting approach: maximum flexibility with minimum complexity. After months of financial chaos, I developed what I call the survival buckets system. Instead of traditional budget categories, I created 5 simple buckets that work with the unpredictable reality of single mom life. This isn't about complex spreadsheets or perfect tracking. It's about creating a system so simple that even during your most stressful moments, you can make smart financial decisions. Bucket 1 is roof and food, the absolute essentials that keep you and your child alive and sheltered. This gets 60% of my income, which might sound high, but here's why it works. By being realistic about your non-negotiable expenses up front, you eliminate the guilt and stress that comes with constantly overspending in other categories. Bucket 2 is Chaos Fund. 15% of income goes here, and this is the secret sauce. This isn't an emergency fund in the traditional sense. It's a chaos absorption fund. Car repair, sick day without pay, school fundraiser you forgot about, it all comes from here. The psychological impact of having this buffer cannot be overstated. It transforms unexpected expenses from crisis events into minor inconveniences. Bucket 3 is Future Me Fund. 10% that goes directly to savings, automatically, before you even see it. This is non-negotiable because future you deserves the security that present you might not feel you can afford. I automated this transfer to happen the day my paycheck hits, removing the temptation to spend it. Bucket 4 is joy money, 10% for the things that make life worth living. Movies with your kid, that coffee that keeps you sane, small treats that prevent the feeling of constant deprivation. This bucket is crucial because budgets that eliminate all joy are budgets that fail. Bucket 5 is growth investment. The remaining 5% goes toward anything that could increase your income. Online courses, professional clothes, networking events, or building skills. This bucket is small but mighty because it represents hope and forward momentum. The beauty of this system is its simplicity. You don't need apps, spreadsheets, or complex calculations. You just need 5 containers. I literally used mason jars at first, and the discipline to put money in the right jar when it comes in. When unexpected expenses hit, you know exactly where the money comes from without having to recalculate your entire budget. The biggest game changer wasn't making more money. It was discovering money I was already earning but not capturing. I call this invisible income, and most single moms are leaving hundreds of dollars on the table every month because they don't know where to look. The first invisible income stream was credit card rewards. I wasn't using credit cards because I was afraid of debt, but I realized I could use a cashback card for all my regular expenses and pay it off immediately. This generated an extra $50, $80 per month in cashback, money I was leaving with the bank for no reason. Tax optimization was another huge discovery. I wasn't claiming several deductions I qualified for as a single mom: childcare expenses, home office deduction for my side gig, and education credits. Working with a tax professional for 1 year taught me enough to do my own taxes and capture an extra $100 or $200 in refunds. The breakthrough came when I started tracking every single transaction for 30 days, not to restrict my spending, but to identify patterns. I discovered I was paying for subscriptions I'd forgotten about, shopping at expensive stores out of habit, and making impulse purchases during emotional moments that added up to significant money. But the real invisible income was time optimization. I calculated that I was spending 8 hours per week on activities that weren't adding value to my life or my daughter's. Excessive social media scrolling, running inefficient errands, and engaging in energy-draining conversations. I monetized 4 of those hours with freelance work that brought in an extra $300 per month. The most surprising invisible income source was community resources I didn't know existed. Free after-school programs that saved me $200 monthly in childcare, community gardens that cut our grocery bill by $50, library programs that replaced paid activities, and local single mom groups that shared resources and bulk buying opportunities. I also discovered the power of found money systems. Every $5 bill that came my way went directly into savings, loose change got collected and deposited monthly, and any unexpected money, tax refunds, bonuses, gifts, was split between the chaos fund and savings, rather than being absorbed into general spending. These invisible income strategies added up to an extra $400, $500 per month without working more hours or changing my base salary. This money became the foundation of my down payment fund and proved that you don't always need to earn more to have more. Homeownership seemed impossible on my income until I learned that the game isn't about how much you make. It's about how you position yourself in the system. The mortgage industry has specific boxes they need to check. And once you understand what they're looking for, you can engineer your financial profile to meet their requirements. The first revelation was that mortgage lenders care more about consistency than amount. They'd rather see someone with a steady $28,000 income than someone with an inconsistent $40,000 income. This meant I needed to focus on stabilizing my income rather than just increasing it. I took on a part-time weekend job that added only $200 per month, but it showed 18 months of consistent additional income. Credit score optimization became my obsession, but not in the way most people think. Instead of trying to pay off all my debts immediately, I focused on utilization ratios and payment timing. I learned that paying down my credit cards to below 10% utilization and making payments twice per month boosted my score faster than paying them off completely. The down payment strategy was the real breakthrough. Everyone told me I needed 20% down. But I discovered first-time homebuyer programs that required as little as 3% down. For a $320,000 house, that's the difference between needing $64,000 and $9,600. Still challenging, but actually achievable. I created what I call the House Fund Acceleration Plan. Every tax refund, every bonus from work, every gift from family, and every dollar saved through my invisible income strategies went directly to this fund. I also started a side business cleaning offices on weekends, specifically earmarking those earnings for the house fund. The emotional component was just as important as the financial one. I created a vision board with pictures of our dream home and neighborhood, and my daughter and I would drive through potential neighborhoods on Sunday afternoons, making it a fun activity rather than a stressful house hunt. The final piece was professional guidance. I found a mortgage broker who specialized in first-time buyers and lower-income applicants. She helped me understand exactly what the lenders needed to see and when. We timed my application perfectly, after 24 months of consistent income and credit improvement. When I finally got pre-approved for a $325,000 mortgage, I cried right there in her office, not because it was easy, but because I had systematically checked every box and earned this moment through strategic planning rather than luck. Your current income doesn't define your future possibilities. I proved that a single mom on $28,000 can achieve homeownership through smart systems, not just hard work. The key is working with your reality instead of fighting against it. The survival bucket system isn't just about budgeting, it's about creating financial peace of mind. When you have systems that handle chaos, you can focus on building rather than just surviving. Your mental energy becomes an asset. Invisible income exists in every single mom's life. The question isn't whether it's there, it's whether you're capturing it. Start with one strategy and add others gradually. Small improvements compound into life-changing results. Homeownership for single moms isn't about being perfect with money. It's about being strategic. Understand what lenders want, position yourself accordingly, and use available programs designed to help people like us achieve the dream. Every expert was once a beginner, every homeowner was once a renter, and every success story started with someone deciding they deserved better. Your journey from single mom to homeowner starts with believing it's possible. If this video opened your eyes to what's actually possible, hit that like button and tell me in the comments which invisible income strategy you're going to try first. Subscribe and turn on notifications because next week I'm sharing the exact first-time homebuyer programs I used and how to apply for them step by step. Share this with any single mom who needs to see that homeownership is possible. Together we're stronger. And don't stop here. YouTube has another empowering video ready for you right there on your screen. Keep building that momentum.